for a little kid sitting in the same room and doing what they're like doing. So being exposed to so much stuff like at that age was just really fucked.
Welcome to the Dad Compass podcast. I'm your host, Patrick.
And I'm your host, Dmitry.
Now we have all this dead time.
Yep.
All right. You want to roll into Fatherhood and Unscripted?
Yeah, man. Let's
what you got?
Well, so I kind of took something out of your book. So I think it was our first episode or second episode, you said every day around dinner time, you kind of sit around and you have a question that you ask your kids. So I'll lead with like one of the questions that I asked them because they were all stumped for some reason. I said, if you had a magical printer and this printer can print anything in the world, literally anything, it does not matter. You have this printer for the rest of your life. It's just there. What would you have printed? My oldest goes, I would print Bitcoin because I'd be rich. And I was like, dude, you're missing the concept. You have a magical printer. You're already rich. You can literally print anything you want. Like money has no value to you anymore. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I'd still print Bitcoin. It's like, right on. My daughter goes, what does she say? She's like, I would print a. She wanted to print something to like help the world. I forget if she said shelters or if she said like shelters or medicine, like a cure for all diseases. It's like hers was like super, super nice. And Ronan's was, I would print all the Transformers toys.
I almost said that. I wasn't going to say Transformers, but I almost said that.
Yeah. I said that I would probably print like a very petite, beautiful Japanese lady to be my masseuse.
That seems silly.
I could print anything. That's what I'm starting. That's like the very first thing I'd print.
I know, but like when you want some manly dude to give you massages.
Nah, dude, you ever seen those Japanese massages? Definitely don't want a dude give me one of those.
All right.
We're starting off strong.
Yeah, you are starting off strong.
All right, where you at? Give me your fatherhood unscripted moment of the week.
So this was a non-kid week. They got here yesterday. But I had some text exchanges with my oldest, and then so that's kind of where I'm at. I just want to talk about as an adult, and if you have teenage kids and like texting with teenage kids, it's freaking painful.
Yep.
My son is an English major, and he cannot put a whole entire word together in a text message. And so he had sent me a text asking for something specific.
Uh-huh.
And I deciphered it. Like I knew what it was, but I was like, I don't even want to respond to this.
Just handing out acronyms.
Yeah. And like he spelled card CAHD and then told me that it was because he wanted to add a Boston accent. He wanted me to add a Boston accent when I read it. Well, okay. How the hell am I supposed to know that you're
God?
yeah, exactly.
It, yeah, you just want a cow, Dad.
So it's not just him. It's Davis as well. So he's 17, and his text messages are like, "Do not call me cuz. I'm not your cousin. I'm your father.
Oh, dude.
Do not call me bro." Yes. It drives me crazy. And Jackson's 13, so he doesn't do that, but we'll be in like mid conversation, and then he'll ghost me for like 24 hours. So I'm just like, okay, I guess we're done talking about this. And Davis is the same way. Like Davis sometimes will take like hours to respond, and then he'll do it at like, I go to bed fairly early, especially compared to a teenager. But yeah, a lot of times I'll be getting text messages after 10 p.m. asking questions that are pertinent to the next day. So
That's funny.
yep, they get their response at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. when I get up. So yeah, it's I don't know. I wouldn't say it's frustrating.
It's frustrating.
It's a little frustrating, but it's more, I guess it's more annoying than anything, especially because like Logan can write a 1,000-word essay in no time and you just like on a random talk, like he's a brilliant writer. So when he sends me some of the text messages I get, I just want to strangle him.
Yeah, no, I hear that. With my son, you know what kills me? It's like you have a phone, and I call you, and you just don't answer, and then I can like text you, and you still don't answer, and then like I'll finally get a hold of you, and I'm like, hey, dude, I called you like 15 times. Like, what's the deal? And it's like, oh, dude, my phone didn't ring. I'm so sorry. Really, dude? Like, I didn't know we're like. I guess we're just paying for nothing. Like, that doesn't make any sense. That stuff kills me.
Well, you're pretty unique too for your age, just because like I grew up in a time prior to texting,
Yeah.
but it's such a common way to communicate now. And honestly, and I don't want like Logan to take this the wrong way, but I don't like texting with him. So we actually do talk to each other on the phone
Yeah.
for anywhere from like 45 minutes to an hour and a half every Saturday, because
That's awesome.
I can't get like the information that I want out of him, because it's just so it's it's just so it drives me freaking crazy. It drives me crazy.
It
But
takes a while.
to your point, like I don't know, I probably talked on the phone with Jackson like twice. So he'll text me sometimes, like let's pretend like he stays home from school or didn't have school or whatever, and he'll be
Yeah.
like, what can I have for lunch? And um I'll be like, hey, just call me, and then we'll talk through it, and I'll give you, because like texting for me sometimes at work is super easy because I'll be in like a meeting, so I can just send a quick message. But
Yeah.
it's just a hard way to communicate, especially with a teenager.
You know what? I hate texting in general.
I know, and I
I'm like,
respect you for it. I hate that you call me all the time,
I
but I still
know.
I respect you for it.
I know. I like, you know why I don't like it though? I feel like, and actually, I called, me and Cynthia had a conversation this week, and it was like in regards to like email and Teams, but like texting's like the same way. I was like, if there's an issue, I think making a phone call is so much faster to find a resolution. Or just like, even like if I'm having a conversation, and it's like, hey dude, like I don't know, like what do you want for dinner? And then you get the text back is IDK. All right, now I gotta text you back.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what else? And I feel like it's just so time consuming. Phone calls just get to the point, and they are annoying though, because I've noticed that not a lot of people like phone calls.
It it's it's just a well, for me specifically, um, I'll be like I'm in a lot of meetings. Like, I work
Yeah.
anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day, and 4 to 6 of those hours I'm either in meetings or interviews or doing stuff like that. So like it's just not even an option.
Can't call.
And honestly, I would never text somebody in an interview anyways. It's super rude. But like in meetings sometimes, especially if I'm not engaged in the conversation and I'm
Yeah.
just observing, it's just easier for me to text. You're good at teamsing back and forth though.
You know why though? The only
because
reason I'm
it's
good at Teams is
because it's on a
because I'm
keyboard.
remote. Well,
Yeah.
no, it's I'm remote,
Oh,
and like I feel like I'm already like scrutinized because I am remote, and I feel like if I don't respond, the first like thought process is like, dude, what the fuck's this guy doing? Is he even working? What is he doing? So I like Teams. I try to
Oh
like
yeah,
prioritize.
you
It's
told me
kind
this
of
story.
yeah, it's kind of just like a yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have to be like super responsive in Teams and like any, regardless of even that, it's always open. Like I always have Teams open, and when I don't have it open, is like when I forget to respond for like 10, 15 minutes, or like I don't know if you notice Teams like it goes yellow, and it just says that like you're idle, and I'm like I can't like anytime I see idle, I have to click on it again to pop the window back up. I was like, nope, can't have that. So
Yeah, I mean, we could totally go down a rabbit hole with this in
yes,
general, but I hate, like, I don't hate Teams. I think Teams is a nice tool, but I hate that like all the
yeah.
other forms of communication are still
Mm-hmm.
there. So now when we added Teams, now we just added another way to communicate or some way
Yeah,
to try to track somebody down. And
yeah.
I'm just not a big fan, but
We need those Chinese cameras. Well,
I
to
don't
your
know.
point, we can keep going down rabbit holes right now.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you're outside, so there might be a rabbit hole over there.
There might be rabbit holes. I'm just terrified every single time I move. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes. You want to tell the
So
story about why you're terrified every time you move?
yeah, so we moved into this new build. It's a townhouse, and the back porch. They've assured me that it's incredibly secure. Well, I brought him out here, and I stood on the deck and I said, "Why don't you guys come out here for a second?" And they instantly said, "No, we're good." And I'm like, "But you're telling me this is fucking secured? You're afraid to come out here with me?" Right. Like this is great. Dude, our floor inside is like a goddamn jumping palace. You walk, my kids when we got in there, it was like, "All right, you know what? I get it. You guys might have just jumped and like I feel it." But now it's every single time that they walk, it's just bouncing. It's bouncing. It's like a waterbed inside the house. And it's yeah. Anyway, this thing's built like shit. So every time I move, it starts swaying back and forth. It's terrifying.
I mean, it'll make for good footage if it does collapse. I mean, of course, I hope you're okay, but I'm kind of gonna support you
Falling.
collapsing that
You,
porch right now.
you know what? If I did, we'd be we'd be rich, and our next porch would definitely be much better.
That's fair. It's fair.
So I mean, it's not. It's a pretty far drop, but not too bad. I'd probably survive.
All right,
Ish.
so I just want to talk about what we're going to talk about today. We are both fatherless fathers. So I think we're just going to talk about our childhood a little bit and um, I guess what helped mold us to be the people that we are. My story is definitely not awesome, but I figured I'll share it and kind of. Um,
Yeah, man.
Dimitri's got a pretty unique story. It's it's pretty incredible to see what he's become today. So, do you want to start it off,
Well,
Dimitri, or you want me to do it?
I kind of want you to start because I've told my story to you in like bits and pieces, so you have like somewhat of an idea. But I'm kind of curious as to your beginnings and all of it.
Okay, cool. All right. So, 43 years ago, I was 44 years ago. I was conceived. 43 years ago, I was born. I was born in Denver, Colorado. Actually, fun fact: my oldest two and I were all born at the same hospital.
Very nice.
So it was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
Um, so my mom was a single mom. She was 20 when she had me. Um, I don't really want to get super deep into the story, but the my biological father I've never met in my whole entire life. He claimed that he had a vasectomy and that he couldn't have children, so it wasn't possible for me to be his. My mom said that
Crazy.
it was the only person she was with during the time frame. So it's it's kind of it's kind of a weird thing for me because I grew up. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. So she met a man, got married, and then had two more kids. So I have two half brothers that are, I think they're 3 and 6 years younger than me. I know this is going to sound like Steve doesn't even know how old his
Right on.
brothers are. Um,
It's okay. Sometimes I don't know how old my kids are.
wow. Okay. Um, well, and I'll kind of get into the relationship with my brothers, why I don't 100% know their ages. So he was my first father figure, I guess. I don't really remember a lot of stories about him. Stories isn't the right word. So I think I was probably around 2 when they started dating and got married. Um,
Yeah.
since I have a brother that's 3 years younger than me, so he would be turning 40 this year. So yeah, I guess I'm guessing 1 to 2 years old. Started dating this man and married him. Had two more kids. I do remember some traveling. We lived in Texas for a little bit. We lived in Oklahoma. I
Oh
do
man.
remember. I remember the individual, and I remember his family, and I remember them being very welcoming, and nothing super crazy.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. So my mom and him separated. He actually did took the kids to his two kids, not me, to Texas, and I was between, man, I was probably around 9, so they were like 6 and 3. So,
That's hard though.
well, it's so weird. I don't remember it like messing me up. I just I have this weird thing too where I just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, I know that sounds weird, especially when you're a 9-year old, but like I just don't remember being like devastated. Like I've just like life goes on.
Yeah.
Make the best of what you can and don't dwell on the past.
Well,
Which
I feel like it'd be kind of hard. Like, I mean, I think at that age, and I guess like I'm saying like that's hard, but I think like in the reality like I, as hard as it is, to your point, you do kind of just keep moving. Like things do, they just flow. Like life doesn't stop, and maybe sometimes that's like what those kind of events are perceived by other people that haven't had anything of significance in their life. That it's like, oh man, life's got to stop, and like, what are you gonna do? You move forward.
yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it being pretty traumatic for somebody, but I just don't remember that being the case. I'm sure I cried and I'm sure I was upset, and I
Yeah.
I've just always had this weird thing with emotions, especially as I started to get older into my teenage years. Um, but yeah, so nine-ish. I was 9-ish. They were gone. No communication for a long time.
God damn.
Well over 20 years.
No shit.
In 2014, this weird thing happened. So I got MySpace. I'm not a big social media person. I hadn't been a big social media person. I got MySpace and I just started like typing in their names. So I ended up finding one of the brothers, the older of the two, and we communicated a little bit. And so this would have been in my probably my early 30s. Yeah. No. So this would have been in my early 20s when I started communicating with them. So there was like a 10-year time frame where I was
Jeez.
communicating with them
Yeah.
from my 20s to 30s. And then in 2014, we had a conference that the company was flying us out to in San Antonio. They lived in San Marcos, which is about an hour outside of San Antonio.
Oh.
The weirdest thing, it was also the same weekend that my youngest brother was getting married. So I was able to go to his
Oh
wedding,
wow.
which was awesome. It was cool. The unfortunate thing is that like we just didn't communicate much after that.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like, he's got a kid, happy Father's Day, happy birthday,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of like fell off. There was a lot of talk about them coming up here, and they've never met my kids. At the time I was married, they hadn't met my ex-wife, so like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it kind of sucks. The older one didn't want anything to do with my mom. But to the younger one's credit, he wanted to have a little bit of a relationship. I think my mom was painted as the bad guy in the situation, and you know, my mom may have painted him, the ex
Yeah.
husband, as a bad guy, but like I just don't really remember it. I do remember um, a lot of
You
my
just kind of
family.
want your siblings though, right? Like that's I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like you
yeah.
just want to communicate, have that like connection with them again.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's
weird. I
like
have such close friendships, which is part of my story. But like, I have such close friendships that they've always been like brothers to me, anyways. Um, I've I've been I've been accepted into like a lot of different families, and I got close relationships with multiple siblings in three different households and the parents in the household. So, um, I don't know, it's just never been anything I don't want to say I don't care because it's going to sound callous, and I'm not really trying to do that. I just I got a
I mean,
life to live here. I got kids to take care of here. I'm not going to dwell on the I'm not going to go put a bunch of effort in. And
yeah.
truthfully speaking, the older one, the fact that he didn't even want anything, like he didn't even want to hear my mom's side of the story, just kind of was a little off putting for me. Um,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's two sides to every story, man. And by the way, after 20 years, even if my mom was in the wrong, and like I really don't know the
Yeah.
details, and I have never asked, even if my mom was in the wrong, a lot has changed over 20 years.
Yeah.
She's a really supportive mother. Like, I can kill somebody and my mom's going to be like, what did they do to you to do that? Because they probably deserved it. Like, that's who my mom is.
Yeah.
um but she's a great grandmother. Like,
Yeah.
she my daughter's not here right now because she's doing a sleepover with her because they were watching Wicked last night, because it came out on Peacock. And it wasn't like
Oh, right on.
it wasn't like they were just watching it. My mom got freaking cupcakes that were green and
Popcorn and
pink,
everything. Oh
matching
wow.
outfits, bracelets, all sorts of shit. Like, she, she, I think my mom was more excited about it than my daughter was. My daughter was super excited about it, but I
Yeah.
think my mom is more excited about doing it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So let
Anyways,
me ask you a question.
okay.
So you're like, I don't want to sound like callous about it, but is it? Do you feel that it's like it's weird? Do you feel? I don't know how to phrase when you care, but like it's like you've tried to make an effort and then stuff just kind of it's not working out. You do kind of get callous to the outcome. It becomes like, you know what, I don't really give a shit what happened in the past. I don't care. Like, yeah, they split up, they had their own shit, and now like I'm trying to build a relationship with you guys, and you're pretty much like, well, nope, I don't like your mom. And you're like, well, I'm not talking about my mom. And it's just like you do kind of like you don't really care about what happened in the past. It's more so like kind of deal with shit in the present.
Well, yeah. here's the flip side of this. I don't know my biological dad, and
Yeah.
I don't care to know. And it's not because I think he's a piece of crap. I mean, he probably is, if I'm being honest. But like,
Yeah.
if he's not going to put that effort into me, why would I put that effort into him? So the flip side, playing
Yeah.
devil's advocate with my brothers, if they didn't feel my mom was putting in the effort, then I could see how, you know, why,
The perceptions.
yeah. I could see where they're coming from. I don't agree with it, and I also like I'm open to burying a hatchet and putting things behind us and moving forward because people do change. And if my
Yeah.
biological father called me today and wanted to build a relationship, then I would definitely entertain it.
Yeah.
But going back to if I'm not going to put all this effort in, if you're not going to put all this effort in, right? It takes two.
So, all right. Question for you.
Okay.
Let's say your biological father reached out to you. You had time to ask him one question. What would you ask?
It's a good question. That's a pretty deep question, Dmitry.
Me and my
I
wife
think I,
actually had an argument last night about deepness and how we got into an argument, and I always bring it deeper because
dude,
when I bring
stop
shit
it.
up from a
Stop it.
deeper level.
I just feel
No, no,
like
no, not like
this is
no, no, no,
going
no,
where it
no,
shouldn't go. Okay.
no sexual connotation.
Okay.
Like
All right.
100%. Like
Okay.
I like those. I like to dig deep.
I well, I think it's one of the things I admire about you is that you can talk about sex like you I think you just were even though you said you weren't, or you
Mhm.
could be extremely like a deep thinker
And you just don't know.
and you just don't know. It's literally a coin flip with you.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. So going back to the question.
Yes.
I think I would ask well, I would just ask why. Like why was I not important enough to be a part of your life? And like
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Like I'm fine. I don't I had well, I had a great grandfather. I had a lot of uncles that I was close to. My mom came from a big family, which is part of the story as well. And then
Yeah.
I have a lot of close friends that some of them are older than me, and I wouldn't say that they were necessarily father figures, but just people that I've had really close relationships with. And I got cousins, and I'm totally fine. I I think it affected me literally zero that I didn't have a father in my life. I think that things could have been different, but I'm pretty proud of the person that I am today
Yeah.
from not having anybody like that.
Yeah. Well, you kind of had to grow into everything yourself. Like the guidance and I feel like the guidance that you get from other male figures in your life, when they're not your father, is going to be a little bit different. Because I know the guidance that I'm going to give my son compared, like, I'm going to be a lot more like cold, I guess, towards my son, not in a bad way, but in just like, yeah, dude, life sucks. Let's go. And like, if one of his friends have had issues, and I've like reached out to them, and I feel like it's just different. Like the communication seems different. But touching on that, like, who's like, give me somebody in your life that kind of helped mold who you are today.
I mean, does it have to be a male?
No, well, I'll say, give me a male figure in your life that has helped you pretty much like kind of gauge your understanding of like being a man. All right. So, fatherhood figure, male.
Okay, so it does
So,
need to be a male.
Well, yeah, like you can give me a female as well, but like give me a male example in your life that.
I mean, it's probably got to be my grandfather. He's an interesting he's an interesting choice, and I'll explain why. My grandfather was not necessarily this loving individual, and I remember specifically there was time frames where him and I's connection was definitely closer. Like as a kid from like 7 to 12, um, he he was fine. Yeah, 7 to 10 maybe. He was playful and joking, and you could have conversations with him. And then from like 10 to like 16, I think that there was this like part of he he grew up on a farm. He worked the same job for I think over 40 years. Um, he was just a really hard working man.
Yeah.
Um, so on the weekends, we worked on the farm. Um, and I just remember like going out and working with him. It helped build character, but I wouldn't say that it was enjoyable. I wasn't like, I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait to go to work with grandpa because, he was pissed off. Like, it's hard
Hmm.
to explain. But then once I hit like 18ish, I felt relationship, our relationship shifted, and we started connecting again. And it was more of like, there was like a mutual respect, if that makes sense. In
Yeah.
teenage years, there was no respect. It
Hmm.
was do what I say because
Yeah.
that's what I said. Um, and he never hit me, but like I think I brought it up before. He didn't need to because I was terrified. Um, but then I started like growing into a man. But like my grandpa never necessarily showed me how to shave or be a man. I guess he was a little bit of a role model for that. And I'm not shitting on him, but like he wasn't great to my grandmother either. They loved each other,
Sure.
but it was just like there was expectations that I talked about it last week, but like or maybe 2 weeks ago, but like there was expectations where like she's the woman, she stays at home, she cleans, she does cooks dinner.
Yeah.
I go to work. Um, so I, the long answer is my grandfather. I also had three aunts and my mom, that they're all pretty close, and they've always been pretty close. That I wouldn't say role models, but they helped raise me, and
Yeah.
to the person that I am. So
All right. My goodness, over here dying. Um. So, do you think that? So, I guess I'm kind of curious when it comes to like fathers, and in a sense of they how somebody's impact molded you to be into the father you are today. Do you think that it was like where do you think the value is? For me, it's the like learning how to shave and like that kind of stuff always felt kind of like true. That kind of stuff felt like all right, well you'll just figure it out. Um, I think for me the important thing was how do you deal with it? Like how do you deal with life? And I think when I've taken the couple of role models that I had, it was a lot of like how do you deal with the punches? How do you deal with all the stress of like being a father and a husband and trying to juggle everything at once? I think that's like what I was looked up to and seen as I guess like an admirable uh, feature in role models. And you know what's crazy? You said he's just always angry, dude. My buddy's dad, and I call him like my dad. Um, he has me in his phone as son number 3, Just saying. So like he's always been super super incredible, but he's so angry, and when he's fixing shit, every other word is I can't even say him. Um, but every other words, and I've taken so much of that like when I'm doing something that I'm not angry. I'm not angry. It's like some people have music playing in their head, like like a theme song when you're walking on stage, like you're talking about. For me, it's just like just words, just like angry words. But I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I'm just screwing in a screw, and then like it falls, and then like I'm not angry. I'm just saying things. I'm just saying things that make me feel good. Um, but the hard work that like he's still working like 60 hours, and as yeah, man, I think that's like where the value I looked in like role models was more so of their work ethic and the things that they did for their kids when they didn't have to. That
Well,
was always crazy to me.
when I was so I kind of talked about the three families that I grew up with, like multiple siblings. Uh, all three of them, weirdly enough, had father figures. They were all extremely hard workers. Um, so as a teenager, and that was through my like teenage years, right? Like not necessarily as my in my young childhood, but as a teenager. And I don't know if I took any of that from them, but they were all. I mean, they all are hard workers. I remember specifically one of my friends, and I lived with him for well over a year. So he's actually married to my cousin because we were close, and Deer Trail's just such a
Yeah.
small community, anyways. His dad was he was working 90 to 100 hours a week, and then he lived in Deer Trail and worked in Denver. So like
Jeez Louise.
he was driving that all the time. And so he actually got me one of my first jobs outside of high school. And I went to work where he was because I was like, oh, I want all these hours. Like Sundays are double time and holidays are double time and
Yep.
like super fat paychecks. And I go in there and it
Yeah.
is a seniority based company. And I ended up working like 32 hours a week or yeah. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So, um, but yeah, I think to your point, that did happen for me too. I had three fathers that were fathers of my friends that I was, you know, I was always around. I was always
Yeah.
around. My
They
friends,
include you in everything.
my friends, and they're all still my friends. I'm not necessarily as close with all of them all the time anymore, but Richard's one of them, and he was on the podcast last week. So, um,
Yep.
and then you know, Rusty's always been a little bit of a role model for me. I don't think I realized it until later in life. Um, it was more of like a mentorship from a work standpoint, but also that there's certain things that him and I just have we can relate to. So yeah,
Right
that's my story. I mean, there's I can talk for days, but we're already 40
Yeah.
minutes into this, and we haven't even heard the
The cumfuckery.
wild card that is Dmitry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I was born in Kaluga, Russia, which is southwest of Moscow. Um, and fun fact, that's like where the first spaceship left off was in that little town. It's super huge with what is it? Uh, what do they call the spaceship stuff? Not cosmology. They call them cosmonauts in Russia. So like, we'll just leave it there. I don't know. I'm trying to go in detail with shit that I don't need to.
It's not pertinent to your childhood.
Nope, has nothing to do. Literally, well, I was never on a spaceship. Just so you guys know, I never went to outer space. This is just some bullshit I'm throwing in there. Yeah. So I'll the first. I mean, I'll start off hard. The first thing that I remember about my dad was, so his mom and dad, so my grandma and grandpa, they lived in a dacha, which is kind of like a country home. And my grandma always had like grow strawberries, blackberries, all kinds of things, and we'd always, go into her little garden and pick them and eat them, and they were delicious. There's an apple tree across the way, and the guy used to get mad because we used to throw rocks at the apples, try to get them down. There's cows. We would jump over cows. Like, we're just doing dumb shit. Like the stuff that you see, like the Russian people do, that you're like, what is wrong with them? That's what you did as a child.
Did you fight a bear?
No, but I definitely got chased by a cow like more than a few times.
I think you could take a bear right now.
You know what? I almost fought a bear in Boulder.
Really?
Yeah. So I got when I got my camera, I went into Boulder and I'm taking pictures, and these people are like walking away like really fast. I'm like, hey, what's going on? They're like, there's a bear over here. I'm like, oh my God, I got a camera. This is perfect. So, and I didn't realize I wasn't zoomed in on my camera. Like, I just, it didn't, I just didn't register. And the bear was probably like, I don't know, 30 feet, 40 feet from me. And then I pulled the camera down and I'm like, oh shit. It wasn't a big bear. Like, I could have fucking taken him. Maybe. But I wasn't going to try. Like, it wasn't going to, I didn't let the intrusive thoughts win. I didn't go up and be like, yeah, let's settle this.
I mean, you had a camera. It would have been. It would
I
have been
had a
ideal.
camera.
Ideal.
Can you imagine that being on tape? Me beating the shit out of a bear or being mauled by one and die. So back to my dad. So one of the first things I remember is kind of like on the farm. So we took a pig, and this is like a big like communal thing. There's a bunch of people there, and they're taken. And I'm going to tell you the bits and pieces that I remember, because it's not, the whole thing isn't scattered, because the specific thing that I do recall, I mean, that's clear as day. So they're blow torturing the hair off the pig. I'm not sure if the pig was dead at this point or not. I'm guessing it was, because I don't remember it squealing. So they're blow torching the hair off, and then they're putting the blow torch, and it's like a little butane torch, dude. They're putting it on its ear, crisping it up a little bit, and then they just cut off the ear and give it to me. And yeah.
Did you eat it?
Oh my God, yeah.
Was
it was the most delicious thing ever. It was cartilagey and chewy and like good. Like, it was banging. Mind you, when I came to America, it was the first thing I wanted to eat. I was like, hey, do you guys have pig ears? And like my mom, we're at like her outing, and I'm the only guy that's like, I'm a little kid and I'm grabbing a pig ear, and I go to the table and I take a bite. I was like, this tastes like shit. It was horrible. It was like hard and like just not good at all, dude. Like, the fresh off the pig, oh my God, it was amazing. But I remember my dad handing me that. And he used to whittle stuff out of with a knife. So he used to make like little guns and stuff, like toy guns that me and my cousin would play with, and just that. Those are the last good memories that I have. After that, the next thing that comes to mind is we were going to bed, and this is at my grandparents' house again, and I was sleeping on the top or the bottom. I think I was sleeping on the bottom, or so my mom was like above me or somewhere else. And he got home drunk. He had a drinking thing, he had a big fucking drinking problem. And he grabbed my mom by the head and he drug her off the bed and pretty much cut it wide open. So that was like the first thing that I recall that I was like, and I guess I didn't think about it till I got like older. I was like, that's fucked. Like, like I just think of myself like I can't imagine like doing something like that, having my kids right there, and like that being like a visual sight, like just blood and shit, and it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe it, and at that point I was like, I didn't realize that he was just like as violent, or because I was a little kid. Well, when I finally reconnected with my mom and I asked her all these questions, she's like, "Yeah, your dad was like, he had a huge drinking issue. When you were a child, he used to fucking beat you. He would throw you in the crib, like just crazy stuff. He would get home drunk and then he would beat me for protecting you, and it was just like I was like, you know what? A lot of stuff makes sense. I was like, I always felt like a couple of screws were fucking knocked loose, and they clearly were
On you?
on me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm definitely on her too, but um, it's just it's kind of crazy because sometimes even when I talk about it and when I think about it, depending on who I speak to, there's this kind of like dismissive, um, like a dismissive like tone that I usually get, um, which is kind of crazy. But I at the same time I understand. Like it's not, dude. My childhood wasn't like it is here. Um, it was it was rough. Like my dad, the so I have three, four, maybe five, like five like memories of him. Um, the day that he went to jail, um, our car broke down. He went into a bar with his friend to get help. It was me, my mom, and my dad and his friend or his brother. Somebody was there. It's probably one of his because he was in Russia. He had mandatory service. Um, so this had to have been on his break because this is when he ended up going to prison, and he went to prison for murder. So we went to our car broke down. Anyway, they disappear. They go to the bar looking for help. Me and my mom ended up walking down. Um, next thing I remember is fighting a knife, somebody on the ground, and my dad gone. Um,
Oh, so you were there.
yeah, so um, he killed not his friend. I always thought it was his friend. Um, but yeah, it wasn't. I guess it was just some dude. Um,
How old do you think you were when that happened?
dude, I don't know, 5.
That's
Like
wild.
I went to the orphanage when I was 7, so it must have been around 5. Um, no, I went to the orphanage. I think when I was 6 and a half, six. I don't know, like around that time, dude. Um,
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I was thinking last night and I was trying to like remember a lot of things and I was like shit, I don't remember like time frames or any of that stuff.
well, yeah, you just remember the events. Like you remember like some of the crazy shit, and that's
I,
what
I don't
sticks.
even remember them, but like your stuff is more impactful, so it makes sense why that you remember that. Like I remember certain things, but I truthfully don't remember a lot,
Yeah.
which is funny
Well, so
because I remember a lot of stuff now, but I just going
yeah,
back into my childhood, I just don't recall.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't. There's a really long time that I thought to myself, I was like, you know what, maybe like when I told my mom here that adopted me, it was always like dismissed. I was like, you're a little kid, you don't know, you don't remember this stuff. Um, and it was shitty because there was a point where I was like, you know what, like maybe I don't remember all this shit. And then I finally tracked down my mom, my birth mom, and I started talking to her. And that was a really crazy chain of events, but a lot of the, and when I say like a lot, like pretty much every single thing I've ever remembered that was impactful was the truth. It was like preaching to the choir and having them come back and say, "Yeah, man, like you're not crazy. Like you're not. That's it's all valid."
So okay, so that was kind of going to be my question. So you remember not necessarily seeing the murder specifically, but you just remember a situation happening. You had said this to your adopted mother, and she said,
Hmm.
"No, that's not possible." So fast forward to 3 years ago or whatever it was that you started talking to your biological. She confirmed that what you saw was actually true.
Yeah, what she said
Okay.
was they were out on break, like it was like a summer, like a month, or like it was like a month or a week that they had out of service.
What does that
Um,
mean? Military?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess they had break periods. I don't like that's what I can like digest from it. And yeah, I just got fucking belligerent drunk and killed some dude. I mean, I will say like that is some absolute like retarded Russian stuff right there. Like, hey, oh, taking a little powwow from the military. I'm just gonna go get belligerent drunk and stab somebody. Forget like my family life and all that stuff, and just kind of throw it out the window.
Was
Um,
so were your parents married?
yes,
And you at the time were the only kid? Is that true? And
yeah,
you think that potentially there could have been another one.
yeah. At the time, I was the only kid, and it was my cousin, which is um, my dad's brother's son. Um, and we were close.
Have you
Yeah,
tried
we
to
used to
connect?
do some, huh?
Have you tried to connect with him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I talked to him.
Oh, you do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We talk on the phone here and there. He's got two daughters, and yeah, he's killing it.
He still lives in Russia.
Yep.
Doesn't speak any English.
He does.
Uh,
He speaks enough English that we can communicate, and I speak enough Russian that I can communicate. So when he gets tired of speaking English, I start speaking Russian, or vice versa.
so that was one of the questions I was going to ask you too. Like, do you remember? So I know that you've been focusing on trying to learn Russian, like to speak it more fluently, but like, is it easier for you because you did at one point speak Russian, or did all that stay with you?
Um, I think it. I don't want to say it stayed with me, but I definitely think that knowing a language prior and forgetting it, and then trying to like recall it in your memory, it makes it a little bit easier because you're not starting from scratch. It's almost like you're thinking to yourself that, you know what, I placed this here, but you got to dig through all the cobwebs. You got to go deep inside that attic. You got to move all this kind of shit around just to find it. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like I kind of remember that. I understand why this thing is said the way it is. So I think it's easier for me to make the connections. I don't think it makes it easy by any means. I still think it's incredible. Like it's still pretty difficult. Um, but whenever I hear it, I know they're speaking Russian. Like I guess that's the
So that is actually my next question. Do you hear it better than you speak it? Like, or do you understand it better than you speak it?
ye, so yes and no. Like well, no, I guess yeah, I guess so because I can listen to a conversation and get what I need out of it. I could relay that conversation, but if I was put on the spot to have like the same thought process, it would the words would still be too jumbled in my head for me to compile like a really coherent sentence. It'd be difficult. I can do it, but it's difficult. Like yesterday we were driving. My daughter's like, "Hey, Dad, how do you say the golden hour in Russian?" I was like, I don't know, honey. I think it's это золотой часа, the золотний час, and I like kept going back and forth in my head. I'm like, is it золотой час or это золотний час? And I was like, no, твой золотой час. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, there we go. It's a твой золотой час. And I had to like confirm it in my own head, but I had to go through this like process of saying it 1,000 times to be like, no, this sounds the right way. And I'm saying it to my daughter. I was like, you know what? And then I pulled up ChatGPT. I started talking on the phone. I was like, hey, can you confirm? Like, and I said what I said, and that I'm able to ask the question in Russian and to get the proper feedback. Like I'm able to, I guess, communicate it. It's just sometimes the words are fumbled,
Got it.
or sometimes the pronunciation might be a little bit off. But as far as like reading, like I could open up a book and I can read it. Like that's the reading it isn't a like that's not difficult for me. The difficult thing is like I guess communicating what I read
Got it.
makes it a little bit difficult.
Okay.
So let's see. All right. So I told my kids, I was like, your guys' Christmas is incredibly different than mine. So in our Christmas tree, from what I recall, you didn't get presents. What you got was fruit. So you'd have an orange apple. And they're like, why are you getting orange and apple? Like, why? Well, because that's like those are like treats. Like fruit was a treat. If you got a Kinder Egg, it was incredible.
So was it a poverty thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like nobody was living a lavish life from what I recall, or at least not in not in my circumstances. Um, I mean, dude, I have scars on both my knees from slicing my kneecaps wide open because my grandma told me to run to the market and go get bread, and uh, you had to go through this fence, and it was like the fence was like kind of half cocked, so you can like I could climb through it. Um, and you'd run around with all the hoodlums and stuff that were in similar situations that you were. We would steal all the run around stealing sunflower seeds and all kinds of stuff from the market. Like that was our like I didn't come home to have a snack and dinner. Like no, like if I was hungry, I had to go out and we go and steal it. That was our that was our normal.
That's wild.
Um,
The scars on your kneecaps, are those from, is it from barbed wire?
no, that's from the so when I turn around to go back home, and this was too. So okay, so in Kaluga, that is where my mom's parents lived, and they were they were fucked. That's like, dude,
Is that who put you up for adoption?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
walking in and getting beat and seeing fucking old dude nuts just fucking hanging out, like them having no regard. But anyway, so when I was coming back from the market, there's this rock, and I call it Pride Rock, from The Lion King. So as I was running and I went through the fence, and when I went past the fence, I tripped and I landed, and it slit my kneecaps wide open. Like I remember screaming for somebody to fucking help me, and I blacked out. just don't remember anything past that, except I got the scars on my knees.
I got scars on my knees too. That's why I was asking the question.
Yeah, like
From a barbed wire fence.
no shit, jumping it.
I told somebody that I thought that I could jump through the fence without getting touched by the barbed wire.
Nice.
I couldn't. I didn't. I lied. I lied. Lied's probably not the right word. Now I lied. I told people for a long time that the barbed wire was still in there. That is not true. The barbed wire
That's
is
funny.
not still in there. But yeah, that the rest of the story is true. And I don't even remember who it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody would remember it, but if somebody remembers it, let me know. But I do remember I dove headfirst through it, and I got through my whole entire body except for my knee.
Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah, dude. It was. I mean, my dad was just angry. Like that same Christmas, like I kissed my mom goodnight, and I don't know. I guess like I kissed her like on the lips or something. Like it was really really bizarre, and I just remember running into a closet and having my dad like rip the door open and just get fucking like wailed on. And like none of that stuff like makes sense. Like the only like knowing that like he was an alcoholic and he was like drunk all the time, like that makes sense now. But like as a kid, dude, I didn't understand anything. Like it was either my parents doing some fucked up stuff or my watching my mom's parents do some stuff, um, getting getting shit on pretty much, and then like doing
Like actual shit.
no,
Okay.
no, I
Just want to
don't.
make sure.
You know
Nothing
what?
you've said right now has like been super surprising. So I was like,
Yeah, I
oh my
don't think
god.
I've ever had anybody shit on me.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
But yeah, it was like it was a lot of crazy. Like my mom's dad was like super shitty. Like he was like, and her mom, dude, they were horrible. Um, like when my mom went to prison, because ironically, as after my dad went to prison, my mom went to prison shortly after. Hers was drug related, and hers was fucking knife related as well. Like her and some dude beat the shit out of somebody and punctured their leg or something. Like she wouldn't tell me the whole story. She's like, "Yeah, we got. I when I went to prison, it was like drug related case. So what happened?" I was like, "I know you were doing dope and shit. Like I watched you do it." And she broke down. Like my mom broke down when I finally like talked to her about it. Um, but I was like, I'm not letting you off. Like I'm not letting you off the hook. Like you guys fucked me up so much in my childhood. And you know what? The crazy thing is, you talk about like being calloused. All the shit. It doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter what's done to you. You get to a point where you're like, okay, dude, I can't. If this is my life and all I do is sit here and I focus on this, my life's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Um, and you just move. You just move with it. But she was just. Yeah, I was like, so what happened? Like, what did you do? Oh, well, we were doing drugs, and it was like so they didn't want to buy our drugs or sell our drugs or some shit. So we robbed them. And I was like, oh, well, that's fucking par for the course. Yeah, so they robbed them. somebody got stabbed. She went to jail. Or I guess prison. And then I was left to deal with her mom and her dad. And dude, like I said, no joke. See, so I'll put it this way: when there wasn't a door in my mom's apartment because she was so deep into her drugs and people were coming in and out, and watching sleeping on the floor while there's some dude, going at it with your mom as a kid and being fucking terrified because you don't know who's coming in and out and you don't have you have nothing you can't do anything. It's like being a dog curled up at the bottom of the bed.
What was her drug of choice?
Heroin.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
So go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good.
All right. So I just have some questions. Like, when you started talking to her, did she own like all of that stuff? I guess that's my first question.
She didn't want to. It fucking made me mad, dude. Like,
Oh, so that's my question. How did you deliver it? Like, or like, hey, good talking to you, blah blah blah. Oh, and by the way,
no.
so you were pretty callous.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I realized though? And I think that and that callous, I had this conversation with my son, but I'll touch on that later. I didn't care. I there's there as great as it is to find her. I told her, I said, I've had my whole entire life completely lost trying to figure out who I was, who I am, how I'm supposed to be a father and the kind of mother that I'm looking for my children. And it just like, I knew how important a mother was, but I told her all these things. And before I even asked her the question of, hey, tell me if this is true. All she wanted to do was forget the past and just leave and just start fresh. And I can't do that unless you have that conversation with me and you're going to deal with the stress and the shit you put me through, and you're going to own it and accept it, and then we can move past it. So I was incredibly callous. Hey, just so you know, like, I'm really happy I found you. This is a really, really cool thing for me. I have a lot of questions and I need them answered. And to get replies like, "Oh yeah, I understand. Like, I'm so happy," and "Bоже mой," which is like, "My God," and like just the excitement that she felt wasn't the excitement that I had. My excitement came from, all right, I've had all these things in my head that anytime I'd speak to them, I'd be told that no, that can't be true. So I've had my whole life pretty much felt like I'm not even being honest with myself with the things that happen. I needed to get those answers. So I asked her, I was like, hey, you need to tell me. And she'd fight me on it. She's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, I don't care. Then you're not going to talk to me. I was like, if you want to move forward and have any sort of relationship, like I need these are answers that I've had, or questions that I've had my whole entire life. And I finally have the opportunity to ask somebody about them. So it was, she didn't like it.
So how's your relationship with her now, and how often do you guys speak?
I think I speak to her like once a month. Let's say, give or take, like probably around a month, maybe a month and a half mark. And it's fine. It's just like like now it's a normal conversation. Like,
Because
gotten past
you
everything.
got the answers that you wanted, so now you're okay with talking about normal stuff.
I got most of the answers. There's still things that I don't understand. Like her whole family, like exiled her and didn't want anything to do with her. So there's no pictures, there's no photographs, there's nothing about my childhood. There's in a sense of like I guess like records, but back then it was just yeah, everything had to be like pictures, and their house burnt down. Dude, this is like it's like a and I forget if this was at my dad's house because he got so he went to prison for murder and then he got murdered. He was
Oh shit. Okay,
dude,
I
he
didn't
was
know that.
smoking. Yeah, he was smoking a cigarette when he got out of prison, like a year or two after, and he was back to just drinking and that's it. And somebody came up while he was sleeping and lit his house on fire.
And that's how he died.
And that's how he died. So he fucking burnt alive.
So what's a prison sentence in Russia? About like 7 minutes for murder?
Yeah. 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'm being a
Yeah.
smart ass. But
Yeah.
like, how long? Do you know how long he was in jail?
I'll put it this way. I went to so he got out when he was 30 something.
Okay, so it's
So
less than 10
so
years, probably.
like 10, 11 years. No, it
Okay.
was he was so my dad was 16 when I was born.
Oh shit. Damn. Okay. How old was your mom?
19.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Imagine that shit.
All right. So he served 10 to 15 years for the murder.
Yeah, not that long. Like realistically, dude, if you kill somebody, that's all you're getting. All right.
Yeah,
See you guys in a few.
it's that's pretty crazy. It's still
Yeah.
crazy to me, but it happens here too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just yeah, and I'll say this. When she told me that, dude, despite everything, I still broke down. And I broke down because I envisioned my whole entire life that what would I do if I walked into a bar and I saw my dad? What's the conversation I would say? Hey, Dad, I'm your son. It's fucking as I'm saying it sounds super weird. Like, yeah, obviously I'm your son. Why the hell else would I be calling you dad? Um, would I just have that conversation or would I just bash his fucking head in? And that's as much as I would want to. This is my life. This is my honest to God way that I live. As much as I would love to do so many things, I I can't because it's not the right thing to do. And it sucks.
You know why?
Sometimes, huh?
Do you know why?
No.
Because you're a father.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I fucking got a free MacBook from Best Buy.
I I'm just saying that like
More like
you have kids and it changes the way you look at things
I would never go and beat the shit out of somebody right now, no matter what they said,
because of your kids.
because because I'm not leaving my kids. Now, mind you, if
Yes.
I can get rid of your body and nobody ever knows about it, you say less, dude. You're gone. That I don't the actions I don't care. It's the repercussions and being out of my kid's life that I care about. There's nothing else that I give a shit about. If my actions had little consequences, whatever, like as long as I'm not out of my kid's life, that
Yeah,
I'd never do.
I think my perspective is a little bit different, but I it's also similar. It's for me it's about leading by example and
That's fair.
not wanting your kids to well, you just want your kids to know wrong from right.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean let people walk all over you either. Like
Yeah.
it's a delicate balance of standing up for yourself and putting yourself in a shitty situation.
And I think I don't have that. That's I have a like the toughest thing in the world for me is to listen. I'm either speaking my mind or I'm shutting up because I don't. There's the gray area for me is really difficult for me to like walk on. If I want to be genuine to myself and have and it's crazy because me being genuine, regardless of what I'm saying, and I don't know if people understand this, is I'm going to be genuine with the way I speak because I have respect for you. If I didn't have respect for you, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to mask my feelings, my emotions, my conversations, and what I say. And
I think I'm the same way.
it's such a hard thing for me to do. And it's like, dude, all right, you talk about like, all right, you got to stick up for yourself. All right, well, here's me sticking up for myself, and that's difficult because there's no gray zone for me. It's either sure, dude, I'm with you. I apologize. Let's move past this. Everything's good to go. And like, I'm either going to be just understanding and completely disregarding my own emotions and feelings towards something, or it's like good cop, bad cop. There's no gray cop. There's no intermediate cop. There's no therapist that's gonna walk in between and say, "Hey guys, listen, let's talk this through." Like, I'll be the devil's advocate here. Um,
I, I think when you get older, that'll change a little bit.
I I I I think it will too. I'll put it this way: I make rash decisions at times. Um, I guess no, I really don't. When when I'm dealt with like confrontation, I move myself away, and I told my son that I was like, "Do you know why if somebody says something to me, the first thing I do is walk away?" He's like, why? Because I don't there's no switch that I can just turn off. I have so much anger and shit built up inside of me that the last thing I would do is ever let any of it out. And for me, having conversations or like people talking shit, I don't care, dude. I don't care what you say. Have fun. Like you could say anything you want to me, and I'm gonna turn around because there's nothing that's worth it to me. Now,
Yeah.
you bring kids or family and have like threats. That's that's where I just I don't I can't. I tell them I was like, you always walk away. There's nothing anybody can say to you that's gonna make it worth it. Walk away. If somebody hits you, you can hit them back. So you can finish stuff, but you don't start shit. Like don't ever start shit because you're gonna be the one that's responsible for it all. And you don't want to deal with that.
Right.
You too smart. You have too much to look forward to in life. And I think that a lot of that actually comes from like dealing with stuff as a child and l- losing both parents, and then having somebody not give a shit about you to put you in an orphanage, and be like, yeah, well, I don't feel like putting up with your child anymore. Your grandchild. So here you go. Um,
Well, I think the flip side of that is you have to have some kind of appreciation for the fact that it happened, right? Because
mhm.
it sounds like your childhood and your life would have been way more effed up.
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's a weird way to look at it, but like it made you who you are today, right? Like you wouldn't have your wife and you wouldn't have your
mhm.
kids, and
Yeah,
you know, you're
I wouldn't change a thing.
yeah, yeah. So I think that appreciation isn't the right word, but like there should be some kind of acceptance for that happening because it was the best. It was the best decision, which you kind of touched on last week too.
It's understanding. You have to like, you have to. when I was a kid, I didn't understand, and I was angry. Like, I would go into like these I didn't want to live. I'll put it that way. Like there's a lot of times as a kid where I was just like, you know what, I am better off just being gone. And it always stemmed to the fact of like I would just break down and be like, why did you guys give me up? Like, what was I to your point? Like, was I not important enough? Like, did you not care enough not to fucking kill that dude? Did you not care enough not to shoot up drugs? Did you not care enough to like realize all the things that I'm seeing? Or were you just too ignorant to think, oh, it's okay, it's not that bad. They won't remember this. Um, so there is appreciation for it because I think that's what it is. I'm appreciative of the fact that I got that experience. I'm not happy that I had that experience, but I'm grateful that it made me who I am today. And there's things that I am really good at dealing with, and there's things that I'm really not good at dealing with. I just, yeah, I'd never change it. I would never walk back on it. I would go back in time and watch it all happen again to get the full story of it all. Um, but I don't think I'd ever. It would never be a regret to have that be a part of my life. It's important for. I understand. I understand having to steal food to eat. I understand being, the child of an alcoholic and the kind of shit that comes from it. I understand heroin. I understand I get it, and I just what I don't get is when you become a parent. Because I know when I became a parent, the only thing I ever wanted to do was be a part and never be separated from my kids because I can't imagine. I know what it feels like on the other end and how much it hurt, and I can't imagine doing it on my end and being so, I guess, just like negligent of my children.
So, so, but do you think that the way you grew up is what created that passion for being a father? Because I don't think that everybody always thinks that. Not not like right away. I mean, I don't know how to articulate this, but I don't think that. I think sometimes people think that having a child is a little bit of an inconvenience at first. It doesn't mean they don't love them, and it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that things don't change, but like there's a little bit of an inconvenience factor. But do you think your passion for being a parent was because of what happened to you in your childhood? Because I personally do, but
I think having my childhood, man, all right. So being adopted, there's there's a very in my eyes they're two very different things. There's love of a child that you give birth to, and that is your child. Being adopted and having somebody literally pay for your life. Um, like can you put a cost on your life? Probably not.
seven
Well,
bucks.
yeah. Well, my life cost what 37,000 and
Jesus.
fucking change. Like
I'd pay
so, my
38 for
whole
you.
entire huh?
I'd pay 38,000 for you.
Yeah, good. But like the point is, like I having all of that, as much as it drove me to want to be a father, knowing my whole entire life that I was paid for, it I sometimes think that my choices to do the right thing are because I don't want to be a bad investment. And like I know that kind of sounds weird.
It's a
And
fucked
like
up way to think about it, Dmitry.
I know, but that's how it goes in my head. Like I didn't ever want to be a liability to my mom that paid to have me here. So I don't. It's like that whole like love thing. Like, do you how do you love, dude? I have no fucking clue. I have no clue. I try so hard to understand, but at the end of the day, I feel like you there's a there's a line, and on the other side is, hey, you're good. Like, you didn't get paid for. They love you and everything's good. But I'm still on this side where I am a product that was purchased and brought over here. And maybe that's me holding on to shit in the past, and I think that might be. But I can't get past it. I've always wanted to be a father. Once it's like fourth, fifth grade, third, fourth, fifth grade, whatever one of those years where we have to write that letter or just write down what you wanted to be. A lot of the things that I wanted to be were based on the fact of, okay, what is the right thing to do? What's the right way for me to live this life? Okay, well, get my shit together, have kids, have a wife, live in a house. Now what? Um, so I think my experience definitely pushed me towards being a father, but I don't think that they pushed me into being a father because I just inherently had that drive to be a father. I think it was something I was missing, and I wanted to. I guess I wanted to like rebuild the child that was me within my kids in like a right way. Um, I love my kids, man. Like, it, it's it's crazy. The more I talk about it, the more fucked up it sounds. Like the more I'm like, that's probably not the best way to like think about things. Um, that's just kind of how it is. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sometimes it kind of feels like that, but
Yeah, I don't think that's true. And you're not that old.
I don't think it's true either. I'm not that old. These might say otherwise, but um, yeah, man, life was crazy. Childhood was definitely crazy.
I mean,
What's up, buddy? Oh,
it
did you brush your teeth? All right, awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'll be in a couple minutes, guys. Um, yeah, life is crazy, dude. It's wild.
it is. It is. It Your trauma just I think it made you into a pretty awesome person.
You know what
And
we did?
what
So our fun was throwing rocks and shit at cars and putting rocks on train tracks. We
trying
I
to
I threw a
derail
rock,
that or
hit a
what?
no, we just the
Oh,
rocks would
because they
just shoot
shoot.
out.
They shoot. Yeah.
Well, um and throwing shit off of roofs. But That's
I think that's a kid thing, though, to a certain extent. I think it's always testing those boundaries of what is okay and what isn't okay and what's going to happen. I mean, naturally, you just grow out of that one, or you realize the consequences, which is something that I feel like I've always done as a parent. Like,
yeah,
I this might be a little fucked up, but if my kids don't brush their teeth, I will Google image somebody who's got like the most messed up grill and be like, hey, this is
yeah,
what it's going to look like if you don't brush your teeth. But like,
yep,
if you don't have anybody showing you those consequences,
yeah,
you keep doing that stuff. And
yep,
I still think you, to a certain extent, grow out of it unless you're a psychopath.
yeah.
You still want to put rocks on train tracks, Dmitry?
Well, so it was like 10, 15 kids that were kind of ran around my grandma's like neighborhood. And well, long story short, we put a rock on, it shot off, it hit some kid in the head. And I'll leave it up to your imagination and what happened after that.
Wow.
Um and yeah, I mean, like us throwing shit off the roof, it's not what you think. Um, talk talk about fucked up things, and yeah, when you don't have somebody um, showing you the consequences of your actions, you as a kid when you're already just so malleable, and there's nobody holding you accountable, that's when that's when it gets bad.
Right. Right.
So to your point, that accountability of like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to show you this person's fucked up teeth because if you don't do something, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's pretty extreme, and I know that it's pretty extreme, but I do want my kids to understand why we should or shouldn't do things and actual consequences to
Yeah,
actions.
yeah, without a doubt.
All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. Um, it was heavy. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I knew a little bit, bits and pieces of it, but that's I just admire you just a little bit more now.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's. I don't think it's crazy because of like the shit. I just think it's. I just think life is absolutely wild, man. Like I don't. I am grateful for the life I have. Don't always want it, but at the end of the day, I'm very happy that I get to wake up every single morning and see my amazing wife, even though we fucking disagree on shit, and my absolutely killer kids, man. It is the best feeling in the world to be a father, because when they hug you after you have some stuff going on, it's like almost the opposite of where you're supposed to take their pain away. Man, when my daughter gives me a hug when I'm having a rough day, I it makes me want to break down because it's the when my kids hug me, I feel like true, like that true and honest love,
Yeah, it's
and
not it's not fake.
yeah, and that's I think I'm learning to love from them teaching me how to, and I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, guys, I should be teaching you this, and they're it's like they're kind of healing me when they shouldn't even have to be doing it. I should just be healed.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is you're protecting them. when you weren't protected.
Yeah.
So it's a give and take relationship. I do agree with you. I think it's hard days are a little bit easier to come home now than they used to be for me, and
Yeah.
I didn't have that with the older boys, but I definitely have it with the younger boy and Evelyn. Like, they used to race to come give me a hug, and honestly, like, when one would win and the other one wouldn't, they just got like so upset. But like, I was like, hey, it's all good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a big dude. I can hug both of you at the same time.
Yeah.
And Jackson does it a little bit less now, but sometimes it's just because he's in his room. But it's every day I get
Yeah.
home, Evelyn comes and gives me a hug, and it makes things right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, it's pretty wild. We had, we had a storm pass through the other day, and we had tornado watch and warning all day, and it was windy. It got crazy windy. Um, and as it was time to go to bed, my daughter started crying while my wife's trying to get her to bed, because we've had some really crazy weather in the camper. Um, like it had an impact on all of us, to the point of, like, there's weather coming in, we stress about it now. So I went upstairs and I grabbed her, and we're sitting on the stairs, and it's the weirdest feeling. It's gonna sound so fucking stupid.
Now
Um,
you got to say it.
when with how as stressful as that weather is for me, like, I feel like such a idiot being like worried about it, but I'm not worried about it because I'm afraid I'm gonna get hurt. I'm worried about it because of how scared they get and the impact that it has on them. So when I sat there with my daughter, it was, as much as I was sitting there comforting her, I was kind of like comforting myself with her, like, being there and trying to like keep her talking away, like, from stuff that's not like weather related, or explain to her what, like, hey, it's like, we don't really have to worry about this. Like, we're not in a camper anymore. We're not going to feel everything moving and shifting. It's like, it's okay. And feeling her be a kid, because I don't know with your daughter, but man, do I rarely get those moments anymore where she's just her. It's always it's always some drama. Like, it's always just seems so dramatic and everything. But when I get like genuine emotion out of her, and not just her crying, but the way that she comes across and speaks is completely different than on a daily basis. It's like she taps into this fucking monk from millions of years ago that somehow lived in the Jurassic period, and just giving like wise wisdom, like words that are, I'm like, dude, where are you talking to me like this on a daily basis? Like, what? Like, I love this, I love this. The reality of it is, you kind of gotta love your kids no matter what they are that day. Um, yeah, I kind of got lost on that a little bit. So that's the end of that thought.
All right, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Um, knock it out.
Okay.
All right.
So I've been mulling over just some questions. I don't have any great
Okay.
ones, I don't think, but let's do. All right, so I'm gonna ask this question, and anybody who listens to the podcast, throw it in the comments, please. Um, Money is not an object. you can vacation anywhere in the world, where are you going?
Where am I going? Um, I'm going to Russia, and I am meeting my mom as an adult and having my kids meet their grandma. And then we are meeting my cousin and his kids over there. So I think I would. Money is no object, nothing to stress about. Think kind of getting that connection as an adult.
Okay. I mean, it's
So,
pretty fitting for this story. What are you gonna do? Are you guys gonna go do something fun specifically, or just reconnect?
um, I would. I think it would be more so. I would have a massive feast. Yes, you may bring all of them.
We're breaking bread.
They're asking if he can bring all this stuff he's downstairs. I was like, sure. Um, yeah, we would have a massive feast. I would have slanina, which is like
Pig ear.
it's huh?
Pig ear.
No, but I would have some pig ear, some fresh. Um, it's like this smoked pork. It's smoked pig belly. Um, and it's so good because you just cut it up. It's just like a cured meat, and you eat it, and it's super fatty, super rich. Oh my god, it's so good. So I would just have anything that my mom would want, anything that my kids would want, my wife would want. I would make it the best kind of reunion ever, and I would more so do it for my kids so they can have that understanding of like, hey, this is what like I guess in a roundabout way, thanks to this person, you're here.
Okay.
So how about you? Where?
I haven't even really thought about it. I will say that for a long time, I've always wanted to go to Ireland and just see Ireland in its
Oh
whole.
yeah, dude.
So I think that's probably what I would pick. I also am a huge fan of beaches and uh, pretty much any of the major spots in Mexico would be cool. But Ireland, I think if money wasn't an object, it's a little bit cheaper to go to Mexico than it is Ireland.
Damn, that's crazy. You know what's messed up,
What's
and
that?
I've noticed about our questions. When you ask a question, I for some reason am am like roped into like getting this like deep answer, and it's like I'm not even trying. I'm just like I'm like I'm like thinking of these questions. So, dude, where would I want to go on vacation? Me personally, I don't. I would go to Sweden. I would go to Japan. I would go to Sweepan. Fucking make my own country. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite parts about doing this is you just never know what's going to come out of your mouth. It's entertaining for sure. And that's why I never give you a heads up and I just drop it on you last minute. My
I like
cousin
it.
sent me one. He sent me a question suggestion. So
What was it?
I'm not telling you. I'm just going to drop it on you one day.
You're feeling outside.
Is it cold?
No, it's beautiful outside.
What do you got for highs today?
Careful with that door. Huh?
What do you got for highs today? Highs, temperature highs.
Rona, close the door, buddy.
60s?
We got 50. It's 36 right now.
Oh, okay.
It's nice. Ronan, hey guys, give me 5 more minutes, please. Thank you, Ellie. She's gonna be the disciplinary now. Now I'm fucking scared.
That's yeah.
So I've given her the world right now.
That
I mean, they might be better at it than I am. I don't know. Who knows? Well, this is episode 5.
Yes, sir.
Man, 5 episodes in. And I feel like they just keep getting better. They get more. I feel like they get more real as they go forth.
I think this one was one of the better ones. It was very free. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt easy. It felt pretty natural. Yeah. That's it. It was easy.
It did feel good.
Yeah.
And let's like Patrick said, we hope that you guys enjoy the podcast. We also are hoping that you would leave a comment down below that answers that wonderful question that he asked of where would you go on vacation if you didn't have to pay shit, you didn't have to worry about anything. You pretty much just snap your fingers and you're there. Where would that be? We want to hear your answer. We want that engagement. We hope that you guys liked our episode today. And we'll see you next week. Got anything last words, Patrick?
Nope. Thank you for everybody listening and following and liking. Super appreciate the support.
Appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week.